Another tool that you should have in your educational toolkit, I believe, are familiarity with and understanding of audiovisual techniques. In other words, in addition to what is said in the room, what, if any, allocation of time, energy, and focus do you give to seeing things? So there are a number of audiovisual issues. The first, of course, is yourself. How you present yourself in the room, your dress, your style, the way you move or don't move, your body, facial, hand gestures are all going to contribute to the ambiance in the room and the degree to which students are engaged or disengaged by what's happening there. Of course, commonly in the academic environment, we use chalkboards or whiteboards, increasingly whiteboards, smart boards. At our school, we still use chalkboards. I think we have the specially constructed longest chalkboards in the world. And our room, the setting, is designed around these huge chalkboards that allow us to do multiple things. We have 3 of them, front, middle, and back, so that you can have literally at the end of a class a whole wall of notes and diagrams and comments. In my view, the chalkboard or the whiteboard is a mirror. One records on there what students have said, particularly in a case method classroom. One records on there what people have said, and sometimes when you record what they said, people will say, wait a minute, that's not right. Sometimes people will say, that's not what I said. Others in the room will say, yes, it is. So be careful that you don't do too much translating for the student, lest you do half of their thinking. So if you write what they say, and then somebody else says, well, that's not right, you can always go back and erase it, or you can put a red line through it, depending on how you want to capture the flow of the conversation. Each of the boards, for example, may be chunks in your premeditated plan for how the discussion might flow. What are the problems? How do you analyze the problems? What would you do about them? Or you could even go backwards. You could start off with what would you do about them? How did you get there as your analysis? And are we really dealing with the right problems here, or have we missed something? So the use of the chalkboard or whiteboards can be a very useful, or it could be an inhibitor to facilitating learning. Frequently in hotel settings and in many university settings, you'll have these whiteboards on movable frames with wheels, and you don't have the option of 1, 2, 3, of moving up the wall, for example. You might have to twist them or have multiple ones that you can roll out. So again, the setting and the use of your audiovisual resources is an important pre-consideration for an instructor to make sure that you've got things that will facilitate those who want to see, those who want to listen, and those who want to be actively involved. Whiteboards can be a real challenge, because if you've got flip charts and you've got 2 different kinds of pens, and you write on the right whiteboard with the wrong pen, then they have to bring that spray stuff and you have to wipe it off. And so there's a lot of consideration that goes into a seamless use of whiteboards or chalkboards to make sure that people can see and respond to the quality of the discussion. Part of the issue there is, will they remember what we've talked about? So when you record on the chalkboard or the whiteboard, part of what you're doing is helping students remember what we've talked about and what we've done, lest it just disappear into the ether. Another way that I like to do that is with flip charts. Now, flip charts have their own set of principles and requirements for being used effectively. Many people, you may remember back in the day, would put bits of adhesive tape on the side of an easel and they'd have flip charts. 3M Company, thank you very much, has come up with Post-it flip charts that have a sticky surface, and you can tear those off after you've done your diagram or recorded your conversation and stick it on the wall and forget about it. There are some other competitor companies that have pieces of paper that you have to rip off to hang up. It just makes it more complicated. So I highly recommend and often frequently use 3M Post-it flip charts, because even better than a PowerPoint slide as an audiovisual way of presenting an idea, if a topic comes up in class, say the different ways that people plan their careers, and I want to show Driver and Brousseau's career concepts, 4 different career concepts based on power and status on the vertical axis over time. So there's a linear pattern, there's a technical expert pattern, there's a spiral pattern, and there's a transitory pattern. Instead of showing that on slides, which I have done and can do, I frequently will develop that in the classroom, in the discussion, live on a flip chart. Now we're using the discovery process rather than the sit and watch process, mini lecturette versus discussion. And the discussion, as we develop this, it's less professional, it's less slick, but when you hang it on the wall, they've got it. And when they look at it, they can see it. So if you have the privilege of using the same room with your people over a period of time, like in an executive ed program or in a consulting assignment at a hotel, you can hang these flip charts on the walls and use them as reminders of the concepts that we've discussed. So at the beginning of each day, I will say, what did you learn yesterday? I'll write that down and post it on the wall, in addition to all of the charts that we posted the previous day. Then by the time we get to the end of the seminar, and I'm asking people, okay, what have you learned from the week? They will have around them this almost flip chart library, if you will, a panoramic view of how our discussion unfolded of the key principles and concepts. Now, in that regard, I usually begin each seminar with, on flip charts, recording what are your issues that you are facing in life today, based on the assumption that people learn best when they're dealing with issues that are immediate and relevant for them. So I may have an agenda for the seminar, they may have signed up for that agenda, and if we start with their agenda in life, it tends to ground, deepen, and make more relevant the issues that we're going to talk about. So if I've got those on the wall at the beginning of the seminar, we can refer back to them repeatedly. Well, we said we had this issue, we said we had that issue, some of you are dealing with that, some of you are dealing with this. This discussion that we're in right now will address all of those. You can point to them with a laser, or you can go over and address them physically, or you can simply refer to them. So flip charts, I find, are a very powerful and useful way of capturing the conversation if you have continuous access to the room. Document cameras have become more and more popular. Now you don't have to make a slide in advance. You can photocopy something, you can make a hand drawing, you can tear a page out of a magazine, you can put it on your document camera and project it, and it's live. Or you can write on it. So this replaces, if you will, the old overhead projectors with the acetates and those waxy marking pens that we used to use, because now you can draw on it with a pen or a pencil on a piece of paper if you want. So there are a variety of technological benefits to the document cameras out there. Some of them are quite obtrusive. Some of them are not so obtrusive. The lighting has gotten a lot better. The adjustability of the necks have gotten significantly improved. Part of the challenge here will be your facility with switching back and forth. So when do you raise the screen? When do you lower the screen? How much noise does it make? Is it going to interrupt what someone is saying? If you're anticipating moving to a document camera and you're lowering the screen while someone is talking, that can be a problem. On the other hand, if everybody has to sit and wait while you lower the screen, that can break the bubble in the room. So your ability to know what the document buttons do, how to switch back and forth between PowerPoint slides, a document camera, video clips, connecting with another computer that's on a different source, or managing the lights, all of those things need to be practiced in advance so that in the classroom, when you're moving back and forth between these various methodological approaches, a little bit of case method, a little bit of role playing, an overhead slide, a PowerPoint slide presentation, a video clip, a document camera drawing, a flip chart on the wall, you're doing that seamlessly with no tripping, no fumbling, no breaking of that magic that you've tried to build from the moment that the class began. So in that regard, I've mentioned on your computer, what a wonderful world we live in. You can have PowerPoint, you can have video clips, you can play music snippets. I've started playing music before and in between classes. I'm amazed at how much that changes the tone of what's going on in the room, depending on the music you choose, of course. This was taught to me by a colleague, Doug Newberg, who had a deep love for music, and I began to see from his suggestions and guidance how music is a level 3 influence, and it can affect the tone in the room. Many faculty would say, "Ooh, we don't do music," or, you know, "we should only play classical music," or whatever. But if you're thinking about your audience and the kind of environment you want to create in the room, audiovisual techniques, beginning with yourself and you as a audiovisual focal point for many of the participants in the room, and then with sleight of hand, like a magician, moving to the chalkboard, moving to a flip chart, showing an overhead PowerPoint slide, maybe with animations in it, or a video clip embedded in a PowerPoint slide. All of these techniques can add variety, power, engagement, attention in the room, but you have to be able to do that smoothly so that you're not tripping over cords, stumbling over steps, knocking a chair over, or as I did a moment ago, knock over my drink here on the counter, because it breaks the bubble, right? It breaks the focal point of what's going on. So audiovisual techniques, extremely important.